Morning everyone. Today I want to talk to you about what to wear in what temperature when running. So it's a very fresh Tuesday morning. It's about 5 degrees centigrade out there. I can't do the conversions to Fahrenheit, so you have to do that yourself. So this is going to be in centigrade. And as always on a Tuesday is all things running, which is clearly one of my passions. And this is probably quite an appropriate time to discuss this in what you wear in what weather, what temperature when running, because as we've noticed over the past week or so, the temperatures have dropped like a stone and we're well approaching kind of winter running conditions. So many people get this wrong, and I'll give you a little bit about the science behind it, and I'll give you a little bit of information on my views and what I do and why I do it. And hopefully somewhere amongst all the information I provide, you'll be able to work out something relatively suitable to you, because everybody is different. I think that's the first and foremost. Everybody's different. Some people can deal with the cold a lot better than the others. Some people can deal with the heat a lot better than the others. It can come down to your body shape, your body composition, all sorts of things, which can ultimately determine how you handle different temperatures. But I'm going to give you a little bit of science today in terms of what is recommended, and then I'll give you my spin on what I do. So, firstly, it's clear why this is a big, important one to understand. And once you understand this, it gives you a little bit more of a foundation in which to make decisions on what you're going to wear on a run. And that is that when you go out for a run and you look at the temperature, don't just look at the temperature. You want a weather app of some kind that gives you the feel-like factor. And so when you go into weather app, it will say, I mean, today I think I can't remember, I think it might be 7 or 8 degrees out here. But the feel-like temperature is 5. So that means it's 5 degrees ultimately, because there's a bit of wind chill or something out there, which is making the actual feel-like temperature different to the actual. So go by the feel-like. That's what I do anyway. Hopefully that's something to start with. Secondly, when you're deciding what to wear when you run, is the general rule of thumb is whatever temperature it is, when you get running and you get up to pace, you'll feel 10 degrees warmer, 10 degrees centigrade. So it feels like 5 today, it'll feel like 15. Now I'm starting to get a bit more warm when I'm running. Okay, if it's 2 degrees, it'll feel like 12, and so forth. If it's -2, it'll feel like 10. Sorry, 10, 8, sorry. My maths is appalling. I'm thinking very differently there. But that's what I have to do on a vlog episode of how your mind works when you run. But anyway, so it'll feel like 8 degrees. So just add 10 degrees, whatever the actual feel-like temperature is. And that will then tell you how you feel when you're running. And why is that important? Well, it's very important because obviously a lot of people think, oh, it's really cold out there. They wrap up incredibly warm. They start running, and after about 10-15 minutes, they start getting really hot, and having to strip off layers and carry them when they run. And what we're trying to avoid is you having to carry lots of items of clothing to get the right temperature when you run. So that's lesson number 1. So just think about if you were going for a walk and the temperature was 10 degrees higher, what would you wear? And that will give you a kind of a good grounding for what you're running. So today it's 5 degrees, it's 15 degrees as a running temperature. If I was walking, I'd probably walk with a t-shirt and one extra layer on top, possibly, something along those lines. Just going past someone, 1 second. Morning. So more usually, I perhaps wear a t-shirt and a 1 layer on top for 15 degree temperature, which is very similar to what I'm wearing today. Today I'm wearing a base layer underneath and a running jacket on the top. So again, that links with what I would have worn if I was going for a casual walk at 15 degrees centigrade. So the next thing to consider is, the science behind running clothing. And you've probably heard the phrase before when you're layering up for winter runs. But the reason for that, and there's a caveat to this, for this to work, you need to buy running attire. It's no good putting on a standard polyester sweatshirt or something because it hasn't been created or designed to absorb or wick sweat and moisture away from your body, of which most running attire has done. So when we're talking about running layering, what you're ultimately looking to do is to create a running wetsuit, if that makes sense. What it's going to do is you're going to wick sweat away from your body so you don't get chilly, and it will be stored in between layers, and it will kind of act as an insulating aspect, which will kind of create a wetsuit environment, keep you warm in really cold conditions. However, I think it's great, the technology behind it, but generally speaking, they normally recommend, well, no, I tell a lie, but they normally, when they talk about layering, they're normally talking about 3 layers to get that kind of impact. I do generally get it in 2. So like I said today, I've got a base layer with skin underneath and a rain jacket, and I'm already feeling the kind of insulated feel of having this running jacket or outer shell kind of warming up the moisture or the sweat underneath, and it's giving me that layer. What you do want to try and do is having too many layers, because people say, oh yeah, put 3 or 4 layers on. If you're running in 3 or 4 layers and you're getting your heart rate up, if you're plodding along at a really slow pace, then maybe it's slightly differently. But if you're doing any sort of type of pace, it's highly unlikely you're going to be able to keep all 3 or 4 layers on for the run, because you'd be too hot, unless it's super chilly conditions. So I got someone shoving it past me. 1 second. Get over here. Unless it's super chilly conditions, and then there's the exceptions to the rule. So that's the concept of layering and creating kind of a wetsuit-like feel to it. So what do you need to be able to do this? Well, for running winter weather running attire, I'd always recommend having some running tights, because if your legs get really cold, there's no insulation for your legs. That's generally where a lot of people get running injuries. So it's really, really important to keep those warm. So running tights, I generally wear running tights at 5 degrees or less. Generally, for 15 degrees or less, I would put running tights. 16 degrees on a normal day, I'd probably wear shorts. So there you go, it's all personal, but 5 degrees or less, which is 15 degrees in actual running temperature, I'd wear running tights, like so. You need some base layers. So when it starts to get cold, base layers are super important. So I strongly recommend you invest in a skin. You can get 2 different types of skins. You get thermal ones, which are really for really keeping heat, but I'd only wear a thermal in extremely cold conditions. So I'm talking kind of minus degrees out there. That's where I'd wear a thermal. Otherwise, I'd wear a normal base layer, which is there to keep you cool, so you don't overheat, but also to keep you warm enough so you don't get super cold. So there's normally 2 types of base layer. One's a thermal, one's like a cool wear or something like that will be called. You normally tell, because they're all named. One will be named for heat, one will be named for cool when you look at base layers. So you want at least one of each. We then get on to a running jacket. Running jackets are so important in winter because it's this kind of rain jacket-like material. But what it does, which is super effective, is it's super insulating. So it's almost like a tent material, isn't it? It's windproof, rainproof, and it holds heat really, really well underneath it. So really, really important you get one of these. They're normally pretty cheap. You can get them for, if you go to a relatively cheap sports shop, you can probably pick one up for 15 quid or something like that. But it is an essential if you're going to be running in the winter. The next thing you want to, and this is personal again, what do you feel like in terms of headwear and gloves? Okay, I always run in sweatband because I sweat a lot. I like these kind of buffs or snoods, whatever you call them. They double up as running scarves, as wristbands, and also they cover your ears if you've got big ears like me when it does get a bit chilly. And if you're running with headphones, it does give a snug type fit for your headphones, which is my AirPods Pro are constantly feeling loose in my ears. So sometimes in the winter, it's really nice to have it over my ears because I know that they're snug. They're not going to have that worry of them falling out. And gloves as well. I do wear running gloves. A little bit different because I'm obviously holding this camera, and gloves can be quite slippy. I'd normally wear gloves kind of the same conditions that I'd wear running tights, so 5 degrees or less, 15 degrees running temperature or less, but it is 15 to 5 today. So because I'm doing these vlogs now, and they're relatively short, for a longer run I'd be wearing gloves today, but for a 5k I get away with not wearing it, and to be fair, my hands are feeling okay at the moment. Nothing worse than running with icy hands. So probably I'd say maybe 3 degrees, 13 degrees running temperature would be where I'd start bringing the gloves out. Would I wear gloves at 13 degrees after walking around? Possibly. There's not a lot of me, and I do like staying warm, so there you go. Read into that as you will. Sorry, this car's going past me again. So yeah, so hopefully this has given you some good insights. So to summarise, you need specific running attire because it will be moisture wicking, which is the really important part. If you wore something polyester like sweatshirt, sweater, jumper or something along those lines, it would just hold the sweat. It would then get really cold. It would then get you super cold. When I did my world record marathon attempt, if I hadn't had my base layers underneath, I would have got a massive chill because that kind of that ninja suit that I was wearing just absorbed all of the moisture, the rain, the sweat, held it all there, and it was freezing to touch. So if I didn't have a base layer creating that kind of wetsuit layer underneath me, I would have definitely got too cold, and I probably wouldn't be able to finish the marathon. So that's the importance of sensible running attire. So point number one, make sure you buy specific running attire because otherwise it won't do its job in the winter for you if you try and cut corners. The essentials you need are a pair of running tights. I know, men, we probably want to fight wearing running tights, but do you know what? You get used to it. When you get runner's legs, you don't have a problem showing them off a little bit. So, bask in the glory and wear some tight running tights because they will stop you getting injured in the winter. You need base layer, so short sleeve, long sleeve if possible. Worst case, just get a short sleeve so that you can at least wear something when you're as a skin to create that kind of wetsuit environment. You need an outer shell or a running jacket. Super important because it's like a tent and it does insulate really, really nicely your body heat. So really, really important. Depending on the conditions, you'll need gloves and some form of headwear. Now, some people prefer caps, some people prefer hats. There's loads of different styles of running hat you can wear. I like the snood or the buff because you can brand it up as well. You can probably brand most of them up to be fair, but it's fit for so many different purposes. So really, really key. And you do need some form of running gloves. Running gloves, they're normally advanced enough now to have, you can be able to use your smart device as well with them, and they're normally a thin type insulating material, so they're not really going to be clumpy woolen gloves, but there are specific running gloves out there, so have a look for those because they will be essential, especially if you want to run in the super cold conditions. Point three, rule of thumb, whatever temperature it is out there, it will feel 10 degrees centigrade warmer when you're running. So think about what you'd wear in that type of temperature when you're just having a casual stroll outside, and that should give you a good kind of foundation basis to what you need to wear. And finally, don't go by the actual weather temperature. Look at the app setting, which is the feel like. Really, really important you follow this because the feel like is what it actually feels like, rather than just listening to what the weather says. Morning. So yeah, super important that you understand the importance of feel like temperatures because that's what I go by all the time, and it's a much better indication than what it really is. I mean, for example, I'm running conditions where it's been 12 degrees outside and felt like 20, a really humid wind coming through, and I'm running conditions where it's been like 10, 11 degrees, it's felt like 2 degrees because of the wind chill factor. So always go by the feel like, otherwise you'll get caught out at some point in the future. So that's pretty much it for me today. Hope you found this useful. If you've got any comments or questions, drop me a line. I'll respond to everyone. If this isn't for you, just unfollow, unfriend me, no drama at all. But please do check out my Facebook group, Runpreneur, or my YouTube channel, Kevin Britton Runpreneur, where 130 plus episodes now are catalogued nicely by topic. So if you're an entrepreneur, a runner, or both, there should be something in there that will be helpful to you at some point in the future. And it's completely free, so don't miss out on that. As always, this vlog was set up to help entrepreneurs deal with anxiety, overwhelm, and stress, using exercise as a release mechanism to manage that. In my case, running. I have a massive passion for this because I see so many businesses go out of business, so many entrepreneurs have breakdowns, mental breakdowns, because it's all on their shoulders. They just bottle everything up, and you just need to have that release mechanism to be able to manage it. I've been there, done that. It's horrible, and my passion is for helping others avoid it. So if you need any help, just reach out to me, please, and I'll do what I can to help, because if I can just help one entrepreneur overcome that and keep their business going, then this vlog has been entirely worthwhile. So that's it for me today. I'll finish as always with stay positive, stay happy, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye.